safe and healthy. I want to thank everybody at OPPD involved in preparing for this week's board meetings. We held our all-committee board meeting on Tuesday using WebEx events, and things went, let's just say, a little bit smoother than they have today, but nevertheless, we're going to press forward, and I think our technology is tight enough where we've got some good mechanisms by which to have the discussions we need to while providing an opportunity for the public to participate. But I would ask that we each continue to exercise patience and flexibility as we go through this evening's meeting. As a reminder to everybody, board members, senior management, OPPD staff, please mute your microphones to reduce background noise if you could. To members of the public, thank you for attending. You are currently in listen-only mode. If you have any technology questions, please use the chat feature in WebEx, which you can see now if you're watching on your machine. To communicate with the event host, you can see down there the send to, make sure that that is chosen to be host. You can send our host a message if you're running into technical problems, and they will get you taken care of. If you are disconnected from the WebEx conference for any reason, we ask that you simply rejoin in the same manner as when you originally joined today. Mr. Burke, I'm going to ask you to give us our safety briefing, please. Tim?
Well, great. Thank you very much, Chairman Moody. This slide is a little different than what we normally would have done, but I would ask you around the place in which you're receiving this call or listening or watching that you just be aware of cords or wires that may be connected as you stand up, sit up, or move, whatever that may look like. But here are 10 actions that we shared on Tuesday at our board committee meeting regarding actions that we can take to slow the spread of COVID-19. I'll do a little briefing a little bit later on kind of what OPPD has done around this topic and around this pandemic, both operationally within the community with our customers. And you'll see that in some of the agenda items. So I won't belabor the point except to know that these are have been identified by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services as the 10 actions that we ought to be taking. So thank you very much for the opportunity for the safety briefing.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Now let's run through our list of guidelines for the conduct of the meeting. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public on OPPD.com. This meeting is being conducted via WebEx events and is also being recorded. Our board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda as normal. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are in fact part of the official public record. Following board discussion on each pending matter, I will ask for public comment before bringing the matter to a vote. Also, prior to adjournment of the meeting, you will have an opportunity to comment on any other matters of OPPD business that you would like. If you wish to speak, we've got two options. The first, we go to the next slide, thank you, Mo, which is being displayed now, is through the chat feature. It involves sending the meeting technology host a message using the chat feature, simply stating that you wish to speak. Host, do you want to summarize the steps on the slide?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair Moody. For those who have joined us using a computer or the WebEx mobile app, you will find a button in your WebEx interface to open the chat panel. Once opened, you may send your message into the meeting host. Requests to provide comments will be relayed to the Corporate Secretary for recognition during the public comment section. Any other technical issues or challenges you may be facing, we will attempt to assist you with those as needed throughout the meeting.
Okay, let's go on to option 2. Option 2 is the hand raise feature. Host, do you want to walk us through this alternative, please?
Absolutely. The WebEx allows for attendees to virtually raise your hand. We would ask that you use this feature to indicate to OPPD that you wish to be recognized to provide public comments. You will find the hand raise button in the participant list as displayed on this slide. Once you have been recognized, please press the hand raise button once again to virtually lower your hand after you provide your comment. Also, once again, if you cannot locate the hand raise button, feel free to send a message into the chat and we will add your name and to be recognized during the public comment.
Thank you, Brent. Ms. Henners, would you like to summarize the process for those who have only dialed in via telephone? Ms. Henners, are you there?
Hear me? Yes,
yep,
I am.
We got
Can
you now.
Me?
Yep, you're good.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mo Henners. So the process for users who have called in, and all we can see on our end is your telephone number. What we will do for that process is we'll unmute you and ask you if you have a comment that you'd like to make. And then we will allow you to have 3 minutes of commentary time.
Okay, so we will go through, just to confirm, we will go through that process at
Yep.
each point in the agenda where we have an opportunity for public comment.
That is correct. So for example, right now I can see there is a user, call-in user number 17 has a particular phone number and area code. We would call out the numbers that we see. We see an area code in the prefix, and we would unmute that person and ask them if they wish to make a comment or not, because they don't have access to the hand raise feature.
Correct. Thank you. Okay.
You ready to advance to the final slide, Chair Moody?
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes.
And so that sort of summarizes the process that we just went through for public comment. User chat or hand raise feature within the WebEx platform. And if you are a telephone only commenter, we will go through the phone list and ask. And finally, the last bullet point is if at any time you become disconnected from WebEx, we encourage you to please attempt to rejoin the meeting in the same way that you connected originally.
Indeed. Okay, thank you, Mo. I will definitely allow plenty of time at each opportunity for public comment for members of the public to provide notification. We're not in any particular hurry today. When I call on a member of the public to speak, our meeting technology host will unmute your microphone. Before commencing your comments, I suggest you first affirm that we can hear you. And then once we affirm that, please state your name and address and state the name of any organization or person you are representing. If there's multiple attendees from a single organization, ideally we would prefer that you choose one representative to speak on their behalf. Each individual speaking will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we will display a timer to ensure each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Ms. Henners will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. When you are commenting, please direct your comments to me, and I will either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. If you have written materials, please email them to Ms. Henners at mfhenners, that's MFHINNERS at OPPD.com, and she will receive them on our behalf. Okay, I think we're ready. Ms. Henners, will you please take the roll call?
All right, are you able to hear me first off?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Bogner? Yes. Kavanaugh?
Here.
Gay?
Here.
McGuire?
Here.
Mulhoff?
Here.
Moody?
Here.
Williams?
Here.
Yoder?
Here. Very good.
All right,
All in
I'm going to
attendance.
move on.
Yes, please.
I'm going to move on to the agenda item 5, or agenda item 4, actually. It's the announcement regarding public notice of meeting. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in Outlets newsletter and on OPPD.com, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since April 10, 2020, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, A copy of the Open Meetings Act is available for inspection on OPPD.com. The consent agenda items for this meeting are as follows. Item 5, ratification of the decision to conduct the April board meetings virtually due to the COVID-19 public health situation. Item 6, approval of the January and February 2020 comprehensive financial and operating reports, March 2020 meeting minutes, and the April 16, 2020 agenda. Item 7, line of credit increase, resolution number 6368. And item number 8, Nebraska City Station Unit 2 Catalyst Replacement 2021 Materials Contract Award, resolution number 6369. If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to the consent agenda items, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items.
This is Rick.
So
moved.
Second.
So I got a motion from Mr. Yoder. I didn't hear who that second was from.
I can do it.
I think it was Tim.
That's Director Kavanaugh.
All right.
So we have a motion and a second. We discussed these action items at the committee meeting on Tuesday. So at this time, we would like to ask if any members of the public have any comments on these consent agenda items. If you would like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised. Mo, could we go through the call-in only attendees, please?
Yes. I'll start with hey, Brent.
Yes, Mo.
I am trying to make my attendee list bigger so I can read this number. It's call-in user number 17.
That number is 1330201.
And then do you have, I don't have the power to unmute them.
Yep.
Hi. Hello.
That caller
Do
is
you wish-
currently unmuted.
Hi, call-in user with the number 330201. Would you like to make a comment on the consent agenda items?
We're going to assume that no response equals a no, I think, here in this case.
Okay. You want to move on to call-in user number 22, Brent? It's number 402982. Sir,
No
Madam,
comment.
thank you. Call-in user number 6, 402957. Do you wish to make a comment? 402957 is the number we see. Sir or Madam, do you wish to make a comment on the consent agenda items?
Okay. I'm going to assume that's a no. Is that we only have 3 call-ins? Is that correct?
Correct.
That is correct.
Okay. And is that all 3?
We have a public, what about this one, Brent? This one that logged in as public attendee. I see a phone signal, but I don't have a phone number. But I don't see a hand raised either, so.
There's no hand raised.
Okay, so I think we're good.
Okay.
And did you receive any chat, Brent?
I did not know.
Okay.
Very good. I think that concludes the public comment period on our consent agenda, which means we're ready to roll call. Ms. Henners?
All right. Bogner? Yes. Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Gay?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Mulhoff?
Yes.
Moody?
Yes.
Williams? Director Williams?
Hold on. Yes. There you go.
Thank you, Director Williams. And then Director Yoder?
Yes.
All right, moving on to the next.
Agenda item number 9.
Yes, do you want to tee this up or do you want me to read the resolution first?
Read the resolution first, please.
All right. Agenda item 9, for discussion action item, suspension of the assessment of late payment charges, resolution number 6370. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District to approve the temporary suspension of the assessment of late payment charges for all customers taking service under all rate schedules, beginning on the date of the declaration of the first COVID-19 directed health measure declared on March 19, 2020, and continuing until 30 days after the expiration of the last COVID-19 directed health measure of any county within the district service territory.
Okay, let's just go right on to a motion and a second. We have a motion to approve.
This is Amanda Wagner. I move. We accept this.
This is Ann McGuire. I second.
Okay, Amanda, do you want to take it?
I will. Thank you. So to say that we've been affected by COVID-19 is an understatement. The district, our employees, members of this board, and our customers have all been impacted in some way. So as an essential service provider, OPPD is working around the clock to maintain electric service to our service territory. And Mr. Burke, I commend your team's commitment to this mission and greatly appreciate it very much. During the Tuesday all-committee meeting, Ms. Comstock presented the Customer First Solution Package that outlines several steps that OPPD is taking to help our customers through this difficult time. One of these items is to temporarily suspend the late payment charges. And since this late payment charge is outlined in the board-approved rate schedules, our board is required to approve the temporary suspension before it can go into effect. Ms. Comstock, can you walk us through this package now?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Director Wagner. Yes, I will step through. As Director Wagner mentioned, this is the item that the suspension of the late payment charges does require the board approval. The team came up with a variety of other options also that we are going to be providing to our customers. And when the team took this assignment on, it was really in terms of thinking about how we could minimize the effort that our customers have to make in interacting with OPPD during a time when we know they're going to be challenged to pay their bills. We want to make sure that they have the essential service electricity to keep their lives powered. We know that in many cases that, in today's world, that includes keeping them working from home potentially, but also educating from home. And so we're doing everything we can to minimize those disruptions. And so last month we announced that we were going to suspend our disconnections for non-payment and that we were going to suspend them through April. And so as the team evaluated the options before us, we came up with this concept that we would extend our suspension of the disconnections through 30 days past the end of the latest directed health measure within our service territory, in order to give our customers an opportunity to get, back into the, I'll say, normal life, as normal as it will be after this COVID-19 situation. But we want to give them the opportunity to get back on their feet, and then we will work with them along the way during this process. So some of the other options that we identified for our customers, really it's important for the customers to be able to contact us to discuss the options that are available on their particular account. And so some of those options can include using their level payment credit balance. If they're on level payment and have a credit balance, use that to apply to payments, potentially waiving deposits that are due, or applying if we have a deposit that we're holding as account security and they've been good pay customers, then we can free that up and allow them to use that to pay their bill. And then to add some extra flexibility in the payment plan options that we have available to customers. So we really feel this is an opportunity for us to be more consultative with customers that are facing this situation. We are asking that the late payment charge suspension would be for all of our customers, as the items I just mentioned really are for all of our customers, whether it's residential or commercial and industrial. As far as our residential customers, some other steps that we're taking, we're making sure that there's customer education available on how to get connected with the LIHEAP funding that's available through the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program that the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services administers. And so we have that available. We also are changing the eligibility requirements temporarily for OPPD's Energy Assistance Program so that we're removing the income qualified during this time so that they have some crisis funds potentially available through that. And then I think another important component is the bill side of our customers' equation, which is that as they're at home pretty much every waking hour of the day, there's the potential that they would have higher bills that they would be receiving because of the increased energy usage. So we want to make sure that they understand how they can save energy while they're all at home doing what they need to do for work and school. And so we've been promoting some energy efficiency for the residential customers. On the business side, we launched our Business Energy Advisor site, which again is providing actionable advice on how they can better manage their energy usage during this time. And then we also are going to have links to the outside resources that are available to them, whether it's through the federal government, Small Business Administration, or the Greater Omaha Area Chamber of Commerce crisis response resources. So that's the highlight of the items that the team has made available that we've launched at this point in time. We have some other options that the team is continuing to evaluate. So we may come back with additional items in future updates. But right now, the important thing is that we are able to get board approval on the suspension of assessing late payment charges to our customers.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Craig.
I was just gonna, I see we've got a couple board members with hands raised, so I wanted to go to board members with comments or questions. Director Williams, do you want to go first?
Yes, thanks very much. I just wanted to recognize and specifically show appreciation for the dedicated employees who are providing such essential services to keep the power on for everyone in our community through this crisis. To me, this represents fulfilling the values of OPPD in our passion to serve, honor our community, and care about each other. And at the time of an unprecedented public health crisis, I think that this demonstrates both that our staff is continuing to fulfill our mission, but also all three of these values simultaneously by recognizing that so many in our community have been so dramatically impacted, and that we have both the responsibility and also the ability to help them meet their needs by continuing to provide power to them. And so I appreciate staff making this recommendation and recognizing that these are very challenging times, and we should do and we must do what is possible to help all of the customer owners to get through as best we can, even though it is, again, very challenging in so many ways. So I do appreciate this, and I'm very glad that we're doing this. I think we talked a little bit on Tuesday that there would be some associated cost with this. Julie, would you be able to help us understand the potential impact for the future related to the changes that we would make with this action?
Sure. Relative to the late payment charge action, historically, it's been about $360,000 a month that we collect in late payment charges. Those amounts vary depending on revenue, since it's based as a percentage of the revenue.
Great, thank you for clarifying that. And I think that gives us some idea of the scope of the financial impact that this might have to the district. That would be relatively small compared to our overall budget, but to those who might be directly impacted by either a shutoff due to a non-payment or a late charge, compounding the other challenges they would have, I think the impact to them personally would be very dramatic. And so I appreciate, again, that we are looking for ways to help, and I'm glad that we've come up with this package of assistance and flexibility to make sure that we're being the best partner we can to the community. So thank you very much for making this recommendation, and to all of the staff for continuing to meet our mission through these challenging times.
Thank you for supporting it.
Very good. Thank you, Director Williams. Director McGuire, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Director Moody. I want to, first of all, thank Julie and her entire team for coming up with this. I think it's really important. And I think it's important to emphasize also that we must encourage our customers, even though we're having in a suspension of these disconnects, to proactively call our customer servicing to start making plans if they need energy assistance ahead of time, rather than to have a huge bill at the end of this time, to start working with customer service right now to help them with light heat funding or energy efficiency education, anything they can do that, you know, your team is available there to do that, and I think it's really important. Also, I was wondering, how much money do we have available right now in the Energy Assistance Fund? And if you can talk a little bit about our Energy Assistance Fund, Ms. Comstock.
Sure. In our current balance is just over $100,000 that we have available in the Energy Assistance Fund. And we are in the process of moving to a new administrator, Dollar Energy Fund, effective May 1st. And part of our agreement with them, they will have the ability to help us continue to raise additional funds and seek out funds that are already available within our community. So we're looking forward to moving into the Dollar Energy Fund model and hopefully enhancing the funds that we do have available. So while it's not ideal that the transition is happening in the midst of all of this, we really feel that this move is going to benefit our customers in the long run in terms of having greater assistance available.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Director McGuire. Director Yoder, I see your hand up. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you. I just want to add my compliments and my thanks for Ms. Comstock and her team coming up with this program. I very much appreciate it. As I think I probably mentioned before, the Federal Reserve does an annual survey of household economics and decision making. And in that, they point out that in pre-COVID times, that about half of the people are unprepared to handle an unexpected $400 bill. 12% of U.S. households just plain can't handle it, and the others manage to handle it through a credit card or some way. So I can't imagine that there aren't people who, many people, who suddenly with an unexpected layoff are not, those numbers have got to go up. And so this is a big problem throughout the U.S. and certainly within our service area as well. So thank you for noticing, and thank you for anticipating, and thank you very much for putting together the program. One of the things I really like is that it is not just for those who may have been laid off or those who are suffering income problems, but even for those who are inconvenienced and still have a job, they're working at home, and as you noted, I think correctly, people are seeing their utility expenses increase as they're spending more time at home. They can't set back their thermometer or thermostat on days like today while they're at home. So this is really an opportunity for them to take a look at ways that they can improve the energy efficiency of their household. And just, or again, as a business, if you're not seeing customers, I know that many of them are taking the time to do some renovation of their existing building. So it's a great time to look at the opportunities for energy efficiency, and I think I've mentioned this before as well. For the past 5 years at least, Nebraska has been one of the most energy consumptive states in the union per capita in all sectors, whether it's residential or commercial, transportation or industry. And so this really is a time for us to look at this. And thank you very much for reminding people how they can go about doing that. Thanks.
Thank you. I would add a couple of things. So that the things that my team's working on for the mid and the longer term is really reevaluating the priority of where we had our rebate dollars, kind of to your point, like what's appropriate with the environment that we're in right now. And so that's part of what the team is evaluating. And I apologize, I got dropped in the middle of all that and I called back in. So if there was something I was supposed to answer, I apologize.
Well,
the other thing I'm not
offended at all.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to add is that there will be a campaign for this COVID-19 situation relative to energy assistance dollars and out to the public to attempt to get additional funding for the customers who really need it.
No, I didn't have any specific request. Thank you very much for adding on those that information. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Yoder, and thank you, Ms. Comstock, for rejoining us. Directors, any other comments on this particular action item? Hearing none, I will just add my 2 cents very quickly. First, thanks again to the entire team that's working on this. This is extraordinarily important. I think it's fair to say at our Tuesday committee meeting, you have broad support across the board for this work. So great job, keep it up. And I'll just reemphasize the medium and long-term work as well. I continue to think that, you know, what we're going through now is altering in many ways in terms of the pandemic, and the economic challenges that are going to come out of this for many, many people are going to be potentially really significant. So I appreciate the fact that we're kind of not just thinking about what we can do in the very short term, but also what we can do in the medium to long term.
Hey, Craig.
Okay. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Director Kavanaugh.
Yeah, I have an issue raising my hand. I'm not sure how to proceed with that. Anyway, I had a couple questions, I guess, before we proceed. Julie, in idea right now, how many customers are delinquent right now?
I do not have the number off the top of my head. I know it's in the 6% range. I can get that information.
Okay, that ballpark
6 to 7%.
That would be roughly
dollar-wise. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I didn't catch the last question.
You said 6 to 7%. Okay, how many? We don't know how many actually customers, how many residential customers are doing.
Yeah, I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Okay. And you indicated there's no application process or screening process involved for people to have this late charge waived, correct? It's going to be across the board for anyone who's delinquent.
Correct. That was the reason that we moved for a board action, was rather than making people call us you know, because they may have late payments. We felt that that was going to go up quite a bit. So rather than having them call us to waive it, that it would be easier to just not charge the amount in the first place.
Okay, and on Tuesday, we kind of discussed this briefly. Dating back to last fall before the weather turned cold, you indicated there'd been a couple days in the spring before we stopped with disconnections due to the virus. There was only a couple days that we actually had shut off procedures in place. That's correct?
Correct.
So we
were under the weather.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We were under the weather moratorium until the first week of March is when it finally got warm enough, and we only disconnected for a couple days when the COVID-19 started kicking up, so we stopped.
So we still probably have customers who are delinquent dating back to probably, what, November?
Say that again?
Okay, so those couple days that we had shut off procedures in place, did that address all the customers who had been delinquent all winter, or are there still folks out there who have still not made any payment since last fall?
There may be customers that were out there. We focused on the customers that had been disconnected from January 1st on. And again, the majority of those were done in the first week of March. Okay. And we did, when we went into this, we had 45 customers in that category that had not been disconnected or had not been reconnected after a disconnect. And so about half of those we were able to get a hold of and reconnect them. Okay. Somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay.
Or get a hold of the landlord and understand that they wanted the power back on.
Okay. I understand and support the idea of not disconnecting anyone under these conditions right now. However, I do have concerns when we couple the no late fee along with the no disconnections, that we're taking away any incentive for a lot of folks who may not be the most scrupulous in the world from making any payments at this point. It's basically, they got an interest-free, what am I trying to say? There's going to be a lot of folks who are going to take advantage of this. Hopefully I'm wrong. You know, folks who don't need this service or this no late fee and no shut off benefit. I am concerned that these numbers are going to probably spike a little higher than what we might anticipate because of that.
Right.
I support the no disconnection, but it's going to be awfully hard for me to support the no late fee part of this. No. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand your concern. You know, that is also in the back of our mind. I think the reality is most people are going to continue to pay. They may pay later than what they normally pay, but most people will continue to pay. Certainly, I would expect that we're going to end up with higher write-offs this year. But I think that's going to happen regardless of whether we have the late payment charge in place or not. So as the CFO Fernandez had mentioned the other day, that late payment charge really is intended to be a disincentive, right, if you don't pay on time. And so I think that that's something that we understand. You know, it's not really covering or recovering specific costs, if you will. It's really more of a disincentive to the customer to not be late in their payment.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
What I want to go back, just for some perspective, we mentioned it was 360,000, and that's usually about 60,000 customers that have paid late. Now, that doesn't mean that they necessarily become delinquent. That means that they made their payment that didn't get posted to their account until 3 days past their due date.
Okay.
So getting back to your question of how many people are delinquent, I would say, you know, it's a smaller subset of that.
Sure. Okay, thanks, Julie.
Okay, thank you, Director Kavanaugh, for the inquiries. Any other directors have comments or questions before we go to public comment? Okay, hearing none and seeing no hands raised, we're going to go ahead and take a moment for public comment. So at this time, if you're a member of the public and would like to make a comment on this particular action item, and as a reminder, this action item is specific to the suspension of the assessment of late payment charges, as is articulated in the resolution. If you'd like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx.
I don't see any hand raises from the public. I will now ask call-in user number 22 at 402-982 if they wish to make a comment. Sir,
No.
Madam, do you? No, thank you very much. And then call-in user 26 at 402-980. Sir or Madam, do you wish to make a comment? It appears that person has dropped off.
Looks like we've got one more, Mo, I believe.
I believe call-in user number user 6 at 402-957 is an OPPD staff member.
Got it.
Do you wish to make a comment? 402-957. My understanding
Okay.
is staff member.
Got it. Okay. Great. So that therein, I believe, concludes, unless anyone has raised a hand or sent a chat. Host, do we have a chat by any chance? Chat request for a public comment? Brent, any chats for public comment for the host?
I apologize, Chair Moody, we do not, sir.
Okay, thank you. So that concludes public comment. Ms. Henners, can you call the roll, please?
Absolutely. I'm going to get back to the resolution slide. Bogner?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
No.
Gay?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Mulhoff?
Yes.
Moody?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Yoder?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-1.
Thank you, Mo.
All right.
We're on to action item number 10.
All right, number 10. Interlocal agreement for cooperative use of the wireless area network, resolution number 6371. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that management is hereby authorized and directed to execute an interlocal agreement for cooperative use of the wireless area network among OPPD, Douglas County, Pottawatomie County, Sarpy County, Washington County, and Fremont Dodge County, with the final form of the agreement to be reviewed and approved by OPPD's General Counsel. In a motion in a second.
To approve.
And a second?
Second, this is Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Director Mulhoff, go ahead.
Years ago, when the board approved the network between a couple of counties, I think I commented at the time that it would be great if we could extend this to other counties. This includes five separate counties plus the municipality of Fremont, and especially during the time when our emergency and first responders are meeting unprecedented challenges. It's so important that we have the infrastructure for them to be able to communicate without having those calls being dropped and without lag time. So I just wanted to commend Kate Brown and her team for their continued work across the district with these 5 counties. And this just shows how OPPD is really able to work with the other governmental entities to maintain infrastructure to provide first responders the ability to communicate. So if there are other board members that have comments, we could take those now.
Other board members, I don't see any hands up. Does anybody have an additional comment or question? Okay, hearing none. I would like to ask if any members of the public have any comments on this action item. If you would like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Okay, do we have any hands raised?
I don't see any hand raises.
Okay, Brent, do we have any chat requests?
We do not have any chat requests.
Okay, Mo, could we, I think we only have one call-in user to check in with.
Call-in user 22.
No comment.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to check again. Any last hand raises or chats, Mo and Brent?
Not on this end.
Not that I see.
Okay. This concludes our public comment. Ms. Henners, could you call the roll, please?
Bogner?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Gay?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Mulhoff?
Yes.
Moody?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Yoder?
Yep.
Motion carries 8-0.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Henners. We are on to agenda item number 11, the always infamous President's Report. Mr. Burke, are you ready?
I am ready. Infamous.
Right.
That's the first time I think that has been used. But we'll go ahead and get started. Ms. Henners, if you could move to the next slide. So our baseload generation is pretty much normal this time of the year. We did have 2 outages, one at unit number 4 at North Omaha, a planned outage, and at North Omaha unit number 5, also a planned outage, and those were completed, and those units are ready for peak load during the summer. In the event that we needed it, we certainly wanted those units to be up to not under really knowing what the flood impact could be, and getting reports from the Corps of Engineers. But I think we're in pretty good shape, at least at this point in time during the year. We'll see what this snowfall does to precipitation across the eastern region here. So that is our base load generation. I would also just say we also talked a little bit in our committee meeting about Fort Calhoun decommissioning, where at least as of April 1st, 24 of the 30 canisters of fuel has been moved to dry cask storage. And that project team is implementing actions to maximize social distancing during the moves to really mitigate any potential risk due to the virus. And so we've actually deferred and provided some remote working strategies have been implemented to minimize the number of personnel required to be on site. And so Ms. Fisher and her team are doing a great job there. We also provided the opportunity to our decommissioning oversight committee members to hold a remote review of decommissioning over a couple-day period of time. And I think Ms. Fisher recognized Ms. Brown and the BS team, Business Technology Building Service team, for providing really a platform that functioned well over the 2 days to allow that direct communication and sharing and screen data across multiple remote locations. So just a great job. And as always, we've received some very positive feedback from our DOC members and also nuggets for our opportunities to improve and be prepared for a number of things as we begin to move fuel to our dry cask storage area. On our peaking generation, on our peaking generation, some interesting compare and contrast here. Cass County had a capacity factor of 0% in March of 2020, but if you compare it to 2019, it actually was 15.5% in 2019, really focused on flood and flood-related activities. Jones Street, not a lot of change from last year to this year. North Omaha 1, 2, and 3, later in the flood area, and you'll probably see some of those show up, but we did operate units 1, 2, and 3 late last year, late in March of last year, as we had units 1 and units 2 offline, 1 due to an outage, 2 because of potential flooding impacts on the Missouri River. And then Sarpy County this year was 1.8% compared to 4.9 in 2019, primarily due to transmission and resiliency related needs because of the 2 large baseload plants on Nebraska City being offline. If you move to our renewables, renewable energy contributed to 40.4% of our retail sales in the month of March, with a capacity factor of all of our renewables at 0.4%. Our wind capacity factor was at 43.8. Year to date, renewable energy has contributed to 41.4% of our retail energy sales, for a total capacity factor of all of our renewables year to date at 50.5%. So strong performance of our renewable portfolio as well. I have several Honor Our Community initiatives here, and this first one is really around one of our employees' daughters. Kirsten Bischoff is a senior at Syracuse High School in Syracuse, Nebraska. And one of her projects in 4-H that she actually was recognized for was in her sewing experience and work. And so as Kristen started out with really a simple craft, using a scrap fabric to create facial protective mask for her own immediate family, that essentially grew. And so reached out through some of the 4-H members to essentially help a long-term care facility in Lincoln. And Kirsten, whose father is Todd Bischoff, an area field supervisor in our Syracuse area, responded. And she began to make masks for the long-term care facility in Lincoln, Nebraska. And actually, Kristen was asked if they could pay her for those masks. She said no, donate any of the proceeds or any of the dollars to a local food pantry. And so even though Kristen didn't plan on finishing out her junior year at Syracuse High School that way, she was excited about putting her sewing skills to use and contribute during this global crisis. It's just a great opportunity of how not only our employees, but our family members really are committed to our core values of passion to serve, honoring our community, and caring for each other. On the next slide, we did finish our Heat the Streets event which was held on March 7th. We talked a little bit about it at our March board meeting, but that was organized by OPPD, Metropolitan Utilities District, the Common Fund of the Heartland, Exarban Village, Interrail, and Race Omaha, really to raise awareness for energy assistance program. This is our most significant event to raise money for energy assistance. We raised over $92,000 for that event. And in the picture here, not only do you see the OPPD family that participated in the Walk for Warmth, but on the right there, you see one of our board members, Janice Molhoff, number 463, placing first in her division, along with second place winner, Joan Harshberger. And there were nine other OPPD employees and their family members that also placed in the event as well. And this, again, as I said, our largest event for our energy assistance program. So congratulations are all the participants, but certainly we want to congratulate Janice Molhoff, who her and her husband ran in that event as well. So thank you very much for that. Next is just, you know, our employee resource groups do so many things, and this is just a great example of how kind of our focus on continuous improvement when we meet with challenges. But in February, our Women's Network raised money for the Ronald McDonald House, and in March, they were celebrating the month of women. They had 10 volunteers that lined up to cook, serve dinner, play games, distribute prizes at the Ronald McDonald House. But due to the COVID-19 guidelines, the event had been canceled. Unfortunately, the Ronald McDonald House had a number of cancellations, and we're really trying to scramble how they were going to figure out how they were going to provide dinner to the families. They typically do that through volunteer organizations. And so the OPPD Women's Network did what they do all the time. They figured out a solution around that, and as promised, they delivered dinner, food, and prizes, and about $180 to buy pantry items to the Ronald McDonald House. And they partnered with Sam and Louie's to provide spaghetti dinner variety that was used for takeout and brought to the Ronald McDonald House. So just a great opportunity to do that. And the 30 residents plus staff were fed. Just a great example of what kind of our men and women do here at OPPD to support the community. And so many of the committee members and volunteers, kind of Michelle, Kelly, Jada, Brandy, Michelle, Berta, Kranthi, Dawn, Sanja, Beth, Gabby, and Megan, Theo, and Samantha did a great job of organizing the event and working around the obstacles to support that organization. So just a great example. Another one that we were just recognized for in the last couple of days, it was by the company called Cogent Syndicated. They do a variety of research around a number of different things. And so this original residential study from Escalent, part of this Cogent Syndicated, identified OPPD as one of the easiest business to do, one of the utilities that is easy to do business with. Sorry, struggled with that one. But anyway, it's really high marks that really meet or exceed customer expectations. Chris Oberle, who we've seen with JD Power before at OPPD, said, you know, the customer effort performance has really emerged as one of the most important influences of utility customer satisfaction and really explains 90% of overall customer service. And that really translates into not only fast service for customers, but more satisfying service for customers. And so they are doing their research in the field right now, and this is a great opportunity for us to be recognized as one of the easiest utilities to do business with. So that was really great to hear. Another item, right after our board meeting in March, our intent was to go out into the field and do a variety of different stakeholder processes and really talk about the state of the utility around Douglas County, Sarpy County, Washington County, Saunders County, Nemaha County. Those events were really cut short based on the limited number of participants that were allowed due to COVID-19. So we are now moving that to an online state of the utility version. And so that is on OPPD.com. I'll talk a little bit about that, but it's a walkthrough presentation People can view handouts online. They can provide feedback online. And we certainly want to hear our customers' opinion, and there'll be a big social media blast around this, and you may see it in other media sources. But in that State of the Utility, we will talk about kind of the public power promise, our emergency response and resiliency with flood and storms, our investments in system reliability, talk about our battery storage grant that we received and the work that we're doing around that. We'll talk about our electric vehicle charging stations, our focus and commitment to economic development, really begin to talk about our pathways to decarbonization, and then many things around our power with purpose, and that could be solar generation, natural gas backup generation, and the commitment and the work that the board had done last fall with a variety of the management team to really come up with our power with purpose kind of impact. We'll also talk about solar and gas siting, and we'll talk about rates as well, and we'll have the opportunity to do that. So we would ask customers to visit oppdlistens.com for all State of the Utility information, comments, concerns, questions that they may have, and we'll make sure that we respond back to the customers that provide those, as well as give a upcoming report to the board in the next couple months board meetings once we capture all those, get all those, and compile those. So those are coming your way online. Just another kind of innovative way for us to begin to gather customer feedback and input on the things that we would be presenting typically publicly in a public setting, in a public auditorium or community center. And then I want to talk a little bit about our infectious disease preparedness. This is, as I said in the meeting the other day, when I had the opportunity to speak at one of the governor's press conferences about our business continuity infectious disease plan, I had a previous lieutenant governor reach out and say, you know, of all the people talking about the work that's going on, very few people have talked about business continuity planning and our infectious disease work. And so, you know, we've been doing that. We've we continue to take a cautious and thoughtful approach to developments related to coronavirus. And so we have many people we know, as Julie talked about, that are staying home, that are doing work, staying at home and educating their children. So we are keenly aware of the importance of reliable electricity to power the lives now more than ever before. And so we've been communicating with customers via OPPD.com, the wire outlets, just a number of our traditional vehicles that we do that with, and we're doing some great work. And we're, as Julie explained, as the board essentially voted on just some great customer solutions that we can provide and extend to our customers. And one, I just want to thank the board, one, for their encouragement for us to continue focus on ways that we can help customers and their support on voting that resolution. And I think that's really important. On the next slide, just to give a kind of the community and the board sense of the work that we're doing, you know, we negotiated 9 MOUs with our local unions, 1483, 763, and 31, just to provide clarification to both management and negotiated items as needed around this pandemic and disease infection plan and our business continuity plan. We looked at changing some of the policies and guidelines for crisis leave. We had employees that either had individuals in their family that were sick that they needed to take care of, kids that were home that were typically in daycare or in school. And so we began to work through that to really support our employees who could work from home, but even those that couldn't work from home that needed to make kind of immediate modifications to how people were going to take care of their children. And so that was an opportunity for us to change our policy and guidelines, but really support our employees. We also completed some virtual onboarding with new employees. So in the same process, we're actually hiring employees for positions that we have available. We're integrating them into the organization. We did that virtually. Our legacy program with 50 or so of our legacy students moved to an online learning platform just to continually engage them, find ways that we can connect with them. We just held online huddle meetings to support our OPPD leaders. We were just on there today. I had the opportunity to participate where we talked about collaboration and some of the great work that's going on there. We modified our policies around funeral leave because we have had several of our employees who have had family members who have passed away, and those funerals or those services have been deferred for summer, late summer, and so we were trying to put together policies around funeral leave and travel and the use of taking company vehicles home rather than going back to the center, so employees could take vehicles home and stay in their vehicle and not be part of the pool where multiple employees could be using that same pool vehicle or that same vehicle. So it's just a great opportunity for us to begin to think about our policies and how we can make sure our employees stay healthy and we can help support them as well. We provided easier access to teledoc and prescription medications, just created a lot of flexibility for our employees to be able to use those online resources, and then ensured compliance with the Families First Corona Response Act, and I think that's really important. So we'll continue to begin to think about that as this pandemic continues and our response to that. On the next slide there, I talked a little bit about this in the committee, but I'll do a little deeper dive in here. You know, we've spent over now by this time probably about 8,000 people hours meeting multiple days, multiple times a day, multiple times during the week, over the weekends. Over 146 employees have been involved in our business continuity meetings and actions. You know, we started at the end of December, began to mobilizing our business continuity plan. Even though we hadn't seen a lot of impacts that occurred here in the Midwest, but in response to that, and in response to national organizations, because we are a critical infrastructure facility to maintain power and reliability and ongoing construction work that occurs in this region. So we put together some very robust plans around our critical operations, around our employees, our facilities, and as you certainly heard and the board approved, around our customers. And then just to begin to think about all the different material that we may need and equipment with some of the transportation challenges, and even the work that we're doing today to try to procure fire retardant face masks for some of our critical infrastructure employees and the work that's going on in that industry right now. And the board will, I believe the board received a copy earlier today from Lisa of a video we are going to show during this opportunity during this board meeting. We're not able to show it today, but it will be online and running through our online and different media channels, just about the work that we're doing and support. And so hopefully the board's had the opportunity to do that, but those customers that are watching or will be watching after this meeting to, please go to our wire and our web channels and our social media channels to see the video and the great work that our employees are doing. It's really a blessing to see the commitment of our employees just living out our core values every single day. And an example of that is we were asked on the next slide, we were asked of one of 3 companies to kind of start this project with United Way to essentially engage our employees in contributing to the United Way for their COVID-19 fund, really to focus in on mortgage and rental assistance, healthcare assistance, food assistance, and utility bill assistance. And the United Way, the Midlands here, would be the catalyst organization that would work with a variety of organizations across eastern Nebraska and our 13 counties, from the Kansas border all the way up north of Washington County, all the way over to the Lincoln area to support our customers that may be needed. And the OPPD team and our general counsel committed a $16,000 personal match to match those employees' funds. And so to report out, we had 85 employees donate $16,259 to the United Way, again, to be distributed to the variety of organizations in eastern Nebraska and our service territory. And I'll let Chairman Moody talk a little bit about his work with the board, but we had 100% support from our senior management team and the board. And so totally we raised in this program, in this initiative right now, over $32,259, and just a great example. And we competed with those very, very large organizations. I won't name them today. Very strong on our employee giving and just great commitment of our employees and what they do. So Director Moody, I'll let you talk a little bit about the work you did with the board as well.
Yeah, sure. I'll just add that I had a conversation with the board once Tim, your team put this challenge out to all employees, and the board, as it says here, 100% of board members participated, although not everyone contributed directly to the United Way COVID fund. So in other words, some board members chose to send their goodwill offerings directly to some of the organizations that are working on the ground right now. So I think it's fair to say that the amount of the total raised to address some COVID-19 issues is actually beyond that $32,000 that you've got listed there. So yeah, that's great. Just a great support from the board, senior management, all of our employees across the organization just really stepped out, and we've heard some from the United Way that they actually got some additional contributions today. So that's continuing, and we'll continually see that. So great example of that. Of just the great work. So let's move. So we've talked quite a bit about COVID-19, our response, and all the work that's going on there. But I will tell you that not only is that going on just to keep the lights on and keep our employees safe and our customers safe and support our customers, but we're also looking to the future. And so as we talked about in January, we gave an update on kind of our 5 strategic initiatives and some of the work that's been going on there. This really builds upon that. And so not only are we focusing on today, but we are focusing on the future and what that work looks like. And so the strategic initiatives that we talked about in 2019, that work continues as we speak, is really built around our kind of 10-year utility of the future effort. But with the kind of to adjust and to really synchronize our planning horizon with the board's recent revision to SD7 and the goal to be net zero carbon by 2050, we are beginning our work around Strategic Vision 2050 and what that looks like. And so, my commitment as the CEO is that we're going to be reaching out proactively to solicit input from the board, customer owners, employees as we develop this Strategic Vision 2050 in our pursuit of this transformation to the future. And it's just a great opportunity. Senior team, again, spent a couple of half days via different online panels and work with some of the folks that actually put together some work with Omaha 2040 to begin to do this related work. And so we'll be engaging the board in the next month or so. And you'll see us engage the community and customers, residential, commercial, industrial, and across our service territory on what that vision should look like in 2050 to get that input and perspective. So we're anxious about that, and we'll continually look for ways to be able to do that. Today's report really builds off our strategic initiative work delivered in January 2020, where we reported on the energy portfolio project, part of our decarbonization initiative, and really around kind of 4 areas. Our energy portfolio that Mary actually briefed from the systems committee and our committee earlier this week, our community approach, our customer approach, and our internal operations approach, and really to focus around that. Mary did a great job of presenting that as just a quick update. We're also working on our customer engagement for the future strategic initiative as well. And Julie and her team, as the executive sponsor, is working through that. We'll be coming back to the board to kind of present what that will look like and how we will look at that and get kind of questions and perspective from the board as we begin to move forward. And then we have a couple other platforms. The technology platform that Kate Brown is the executive sponsor for. Well, I tell you, we are we're chartering kind of in that response to COVID-19. They really have accelerated our OPPD's mobile strategy around that and enablement for us to be able to work from home and just to engage our workforce differently. And we're seeing that by having over 900 of our employees working from home today. And so that's really, that's kind of amazing in a number of ways. One, from a COVID-19, but certainly with the weather we're seeing to keep them safe and to keep their carbon footprint lower as well. And then we're certainly going to be leveraging some of the work that we're doing under Troy Vai's strategic initiative under the electrical system evaluation modernization. And we're doing that by really looking with a cross-functional team to evaluate alternatives to really advance metering options with some of the innovation work that we've done. And so we'll continue down that path
and we'll report those out in coming months to the board and to the public as we continually develop those next steps. And so we'll continue to do that and then look for that feedback and perspective around that and show progress on how we're progressing on each of these strategic initiatives. And then finally, on my last slide, I believe, is just our focus on safety and the men and women that have been doing work every single day since this event occurred on COVID-19, but they do that work in snowstorms, rain, lightning. There's some great things that we're showing in some of our videos just on some of the work that our employees get involved in. But this is just to recognize the safety and the criticality of the work that they do. And so in this example, John Broderick was a substation operator. He died on June 22nd, 1953, after coming in contact with a line near 18th and Grant Street in Omaha, not too far from here. He was 30 years old, had been with the company for 7 years at the time of his death. He was survived by his wife, Shirley Ann, and 2 daughters, Peggy Ann and Jacqueline Kay, and son, John Thomas. So just a great reminder of the men and women that'll be out today, that'll be out tonight, that'll be in our power plants, that'll be making sure our customers maintain electric service during this critical time. And so with that, that concludes my President's report. And thank you very much for indulging this via our online version. So thank you.
Very good, Mr. Burke. Thank you very much. Before we jump into opportunity for comment on other items of district business, Director Williams, you sent me a quick chat that you had a comment. Go ahead now.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to follow on some of what CEO Burke had highlighted in his report about the strategic vision that we're talking about for the future, the strategic planning overall, and specifically on some of the environmental activities. This Saturday is scheduled to have been Earth Day Omaha, and for the first time, due to the public health crisis, that's going to be a virtual Earth Day. And then next Wednesday will be the 50th anniversary of the original Earth Day celebration. And for the last couple months, I've suggested that those would be very popular, very widely attended events. And I'm just as disappointed as anyone that we won't have the chance in person to talk about all of the environmentally focused and sustainability themed work that OPPD has been carrying out over the last couple of years. I happened to be in Fort Calhoun over the weekend, and I stopped by to admire the community solar project in full operation. So it's great to see that moving forward. I've driven past the new electric vehicle charger on the southeast corner of Energy Plaza. It's great to see us moving in that kind of technological clean energy direction as well. As CEO Burke mentioned, SD7, Strategic Directive 7, outlines that goal of net zero carbon by 2050 that was approved last year. Secondly, the strategic initiative around decarbonization, that's development of a plan for implementation of that decarbonization work toward that net zero goal. And then the third piece is the power with purpose, a step toward meeting our current needs while looking toward that long-term future goal. And so over the last year or couple of years, I think the work that OPPD has done to set goals and deliver on them has been extremely important. And again, I'm disappointed that we won't have the opportunity to share that in person with members of the community and with the customer owners at the Earth Day events. But I do know that we will continue to reach out virtually and share those accomplishments and engage with the customer owners through as many methods as possible into the future. So I appreciate everything that senior management has done, that the staff is doing, continuing to do in the operations and planning for that strategic vision of the future. And I wish everyone a happy virtual Earth Day this Saturday. And I'm sure there will be lots of discussion about the relation between the current public health crisis and the long-term impacts that we are now starting to realize are coming from some of our activities, which have been decreased recently, but that when we restart our economy and our society in full, that we take a look forward and hopefully move towards that clean energy future vision that OPPD has been such a leader in over the last couple of years. So thanks very much to everyone, and happy virtual Earth Day to the board and the staff and the wider community in general.
Well, Director Williams, thank you for that. I was just on a virtual test interview yesterday with the group that's organizing this virtual Earth Day. And so I will have a chance to talk about that. I'll be interviewed Saturday afternoon around 1 o'clock. I think I have to be on by 1, and I think the interview is around 1:07 or something close to that. They said I would get an email tomorrow with all the details, but I will have the opportunity to talk about some of the great work that's been going on, the great support that we've gotten from the board on our work to date on these initiatives that we'll continue to do. So tune in to Earth Day Virtuality on Saturday around 1 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks to you both. Okay, I don't see any hands up from other board members, but I already see, well done, Mr. Corbin, a hand up for public comment. So we are on to an opportunity for comment on any other district business. So same rules apply. If you have a comment, please either send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. I see David Corbin's hand is up. So as a normal regular attendee to our board meetings, I'm going to give you, Mr. Corbin, the opportunity to go ahead and be the first to provide public comment. We go ahead and unmute him.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can. You're good to go.
Okay, good. Thank you. Well, first of all, I think most of you know I've been a public health professional for over 3 decades, and I appreciate the seriousness which you have treated the pandemic, and amongst all the other things that you've had to do as the district, that you've also made it possible for me to be speaking right now and to have it open to other customer owners for both the committee meeting and for this board meeting. So I appreciate that very much. I know it took a lot for you to do that, but I greatly appreciate it on behalf of myself and of course the Nebraska Sierra Club, of which I'm now the vice chair. Also appreciative of your decision to suspend shutoffs during this. Nothing from the public health point of view, nothing could be worse than trying to deal with sheltering in place and not having a safe place to shelter in place. So I appreciate that very much. Looking forward to the virtual or online stakeholder process, and hope you all stay safe and well. Thanks.
Mr. Corbin, before you go, if you could just provide us your name and address, please.
Okay, David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Looking for hands raised. I don't believe I see any. Mo, can you confirm?
Hang on,
Brent,
I lost my screen.
okay. And then Brent, anyone chime in via chat with a request to comment?
I have not seen anyone request via the chat, and I'm also looking at the attendee list, and I do not see any other hands raised except for Mr. Corbin still.
Okay, very good. Let's do our check-in with the call-in user.
All right, call-in user 27.
Like they might have just hopped off.
Call-in user 27 as disconnected.
Okay. So other than the hand raise for Dr. Corbin, I don't see any other comments. In honor of John Pollock, I think it's snowing outside, and we'll leave it at that. That concludes our agenda. I encourage all of you to stay safe, stay healthy, isolate, but don't find yourself in isolation. Please reach out to your friends and family as much as you can. And then lastly, before we adjourn, a huge thank you and kudos to all involved to help pull this off virtually. I know that it was a lot of work, and I know the board really values the opportunity to ensure that we were creating mechanisms to accept public comments. So thank you to all involved. And thanks to the entire OPPD family for all the work that they are doing in this unprecedented pandemic. Keep up the good work. Ladies and gentlemen, we're adjourned. Thank you for your patience. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.